While it's important to have an end goal, it's also important to remember the journey as well, as cliche as that sounds. What I found particularly helpful is that once you've actually set the end goal, it's actually more important to set the progress goals and celebrate your wins as you go. I've been reading this book by Dan Sullivan called The Gap and the Gain. This is a really beneficial book for anyone who's a high achiever like me, where all you do is you just see the end goal, and if you're not at that end goal, then you just feel terrible about yourself. This type of thinking is being in the gap, as Dan Sullivan says. Whereas what we should be thinking of is retrospectively seeing how far we've actually progressed since forming that goal from the beginning to where we are now, and that is focusing on the gain. By focusing on the gain, we actually celebrate how far we've come and our wins along the way, rather than just seeing that end goal, which is always going to be a moving post, by the way. So once you actually hit that goal, it's highly likely that you're just gonna be like, okay, yep, got it, celebrate it for a moment, but then just establish yourself a new goal. And that just happens over and over and over again, and that's just not a fulfilling and satisfying way to live life. So what I'm trying to internalize now is focusing more on that gain, focusing more on the progress, and setting mini progress goals that help me win along the way. The next thing is actually just to keep your goals realistic, and I am totally guilty of setting unrealistic goals and goals that are just designed to make me feel like a failure even before I've begun. So what does it mean to actually set realistic goals though? Even for me, for the longest time, I was thinking, okay, I get that I shouldn't be setting unrealistic goals, but how do I actually know what is realistic? And I think the important thing to remember here is that goals are goals. They're plans in a way. They're not something that you will always achieve, because they should be something that is challenging. But finding that balance between what is something that you're going to definitely achieve versus what is something challenging versus what is something that's going to be completely unrealistic is still a fine line to balance. And so what I found to be particularly helpful is to measure where I am currently if I have a certain goal, measure where I want to be, and actually put that in a timeline and reverse engineer those mini goals towards where I am now. When I do that, I'm actually able to see whether or not it makes sense for me to try to aim for this particular big goal. So let me give you an example. When I first started Tutor Boss in July 2020, my goal was to make 100K in Tutor Boss. I just thought, why the heck not? I'm gonna set myself a challenging goal, and it's a journey that I wanna share with some of my followers. And now looking back on it in March 2021, I can actually see that it was a little bit of an unrealistic goal. And that's because, yes, it was a nice, well-rounded number, but did it actually truly make sense? Well, what I found and what I've been able to accomplish so far is 30,000, which I think is an incredible result nonetheless. And this is me thinking in the gap. Oops, no, not that. Sorry, I mean the gain. See, I'm still trying to internalize it, yeah? Whereas the old me would have been thinking about the 70K, like I'm still in the gap, and why am I not on track to getting 100? But having said that, like over the course of this year, I've realized that managing two businesses, Tutor Boss and Lisa Study Guides, it's really challenging. And Lisa Study Guides, my tutoring business, it is growing. I'm growing my team, and that's not a feat to be laughed at. I've had to cut back down my hours spent on Tutor Boss because I've needed to dedicate more time on Lisa Study Guides. But that's something that I couldn't have really known for myself when I'd set out that original goal. And so we try to be realistic where we can by reverse engineering that goal into smaller goals back to the start. But just forgive yourself if you realize, looking back retrospectively, that perhaps it was something that was a bit more unrealistic. Next is focus your energy on what is actually going to grow your business rather than what you want to do in your business. And I'm definitely guilty of this as well. So for example, rather than spending your time on your branding, which is beautiful and it feels good, you know, there's examples from me, focus your energy on what's actually going to fuel growth in your business. So if that means providing exceptional customer service so that you get returning customers, that's where you should be focusing your energy on. Here, the goal setting question would be, what do I hope to achieve from this? The clearer your answer, the more likely you're going to create highly relevant goals that will meaningfully contribute to the vision you have for your business. Next is don't be afraid to reevaluate reevaluate your goals. You should be checking in on your goals regularly, and reevaluation is a normal part of the process to ensure that you are on track to getting to your goal, but also that your goal is still aligned with what you want to achieve in your business. So for example, with my 100K, what I've done now is I've reevaluated it and I've decided that 100K is not my primary goal. I want to slow down rather than rushing things. And so if anything, I'm probably just going to redefine that goal and put it to a lower number that I do think is more achievable for me before the end of this financial year. So the lesson here is that just had to move around because the sun's beaming in my face. And so the lesson to be learned here is try not to be disheartened if you don't reach your goals. See it as an opportunity to reflect on what factors contribute to this outcome. This gives you a valuable chance to assess what you can do differently next time to ensure your goals are realistic and attainable. Remember that progress, especially in business, when things can be unpredictable, is unlikely to be linear, and this is normal. Moving the needle forward on your business is the overall intention, but how you might actually get there and get to your destination may look a little bit different. Now, talking about all these business goals, I know that it can be quite isolating when you're doing it on your own, especially as a business owner. So what I've done is I've actually set up a Facebook group for my Tutor Boss community. So if you're a tutor or a tutoring business owner who wants to find a like-minded community where you can ask your questions and help others out with their own journey too, then I recommend you join us. The link is available for you in the description box below. I would absolutely love to see you there.